Good day, sisters and brothers, One Nation Tribal Alliance, and community, friends and family near and far, across the pond and this side of the lake. Today, I am here again to share some of the things that the elders and I have been talking about. And basically, I think these are some of the things that we would prepare to pass on because when I was growing up, some of the things that we experienced was not as bad as what it is now. And one of the elders used to always tell me, Chimonaho itet makata na kyan na. And that means that, you know, the younger generation are going to have more challenges and face more, you know, technology or more new things that come about in their life that we don't know if they're going to be able to accept it or do what with it. So today, as we're talking about it, we say, well, when I talk to them and they come up with a problem, I'll always seek answers so I can share that with you. And, you know, one of the things that I was asking is that how do we help this younger generation with with what is coming on? Because it's going to be more challenging and more pressure that is going to be put on them because, you know, I thought we had a rough life, but our life is nothing, was easy compared to what is out there today now. So all they could say was that we have to teach them to be themselves, being yourself. And so, as they say, as the question arose, le ana ho nawan chimonaho te magata na kyan. And I'm going to interpret this in a more modern way because, you know, technology and English will teach you how to speak right. So, in a world bringing with expectation, curated images, and constant media or social comparison, the simple act of being yourself can feel like an act of rebellion. What is that telling us? Meaning that today, you know, our kids are more into technology and not into their own spiritual life. You know, rather than reading a book, they got an iPad in front of them or their phones in front of them or in a computer. What's wrong with reading a book in a quiet nature? Because chances are when they are in the computer, on their iPad, whatever, they got a headphones on, listening to whatever they are doing, whether it's playing a game or anything, but they're not playing or they're not studying or reading about what knowledge is out here. I mean, I remember again, old school essay. You had to get your 3 by 5 cards. You had to go to the library, go through the Rolodex, find out your topic, and write down all your references, and then look up your references, and then write a rough draft essay, and then spell, spell check it, not through computer, but your own spell check, your grammar, your sentence structure, everything. You have to spell check it. Then you submit a final essay. Nowadays, it's not like that. You know, kids now they're just going to computer, prints it out for them. AI. But that's okay. You know, And they start rebelling because they have so much time in their hands. Knowledge is boring to them because it's in their hands, right in front of them, where they just have to look it up, read about it, and that's it. They don't even retain it because it's so fast. It's like, as they say, eating at fast food place. You eat that fast food place, you're gone. 2 hours later, you're starving. You go home to home authentic food. You take your time eating because it's tasteful, it's wonderful, it's made with love and everything, and you're satisfied for about 4 to 6 hours without even thinking about getting hungry. Well, knowledge is that way. They read about it, they know about it, then they let it go. And do they retain it? No. It's so fast. And so, you know, that's how they have too much time in their hands to where they get bored and start getting rebellious. Authenticity is living true to one's unique values, emotions, and dreams. It is the heart of fulfillment and meaningful connection. You know, the journey towards self acceptance, self expression is not always straightforward, but it is one paved with growth and courage, or growth, courage, and tremendous reward. Now, let's step back and look at that. You know, fulfillment and meaningful connection. We lost that. We lost that in our kids nowadays. You know, I go to a kid's birthday party and all these gifts they get, they open up because they want to know what it is. And if it's not to their satisfaction, it doesn't mean anything to them. They just toss it aside and that's it. That's the end of it. But if something is exciting for them, they grab it and they run with it. They study on it, they read about whatever. It's meaningful to them. That one piece, whatever it is. You don't have to be expensive, but you know, and we as adults, we don't understand the kids to where we don't even ask or see what their interests are to match the gift for them. We just say, "Oh, I'm gonna get this for them. I'm gonna get that for them." Blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, he's got junk because he will never play with them. It's not meaningful to them. But to be authentic to ourselves, we need to see what is meaningful to us and how we fulfill this meaningful and fulfillment connection together to where we will appreciate it more. The journey towards self acceptance and self expression is not easy and straightforward. It's not. It's not. You know, it is paved with growth, courage, and tremendous reward. I'm gonna give you a little short story about that. A good friend of mine and I, we were in class one time, and he was a musician, so was I. We both played in band together. And one day we had to do a little brief description of ourselves, introduce ourselves. I think this was in English class, and he stood up and he says, "My name is so and so, and I play this. And one day, I'm going to play in Carnegie Hall." And there were kids left. I mean, our classmates, about 80% of them laughed at him. And I said, they're laughing just to encourage him. I said, they're laughing because they don't know what Carnegie Hall is or where Carnegie Hall is. I said, first, ask this lady. So we walked up to this one lady and said, "You know, why are you laughing? Do you know where Carnegie Hall is? England? No. Where? Where do you think? It's in the United States. Where do you think? And they couldn't answer it. But that she was laughing because she was laughing because all the other kids were laughing. But that's not how it should be. We should, being authentic to ourselves, we should encourage you to say, Carnegie Hall is good theater in New York City. It's an honor to play there, to even perform there. And so I said, I said to my friend, I said, I know you will. And you call me when you do, I will do my best to be there. And when he got the opportunity to perform in Carnegie Hall, he called me. But I had to tell him, I'm sorry, I'm in the military and they shipped me out overseas and it's hard for me to come back and then go back and all this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna have to miss this. And I apologize to him. But I encouraged him. Congratulations. This was your statement in this class. And I reminded him. And we laughed about it. Now I'm doing it. So, you know, it is, you know, self-acceptance. You have to accept what others laughed at him about, his statement. And his self-expression did not give up because he's now world-renowned musician. And I admire his courage to step up and be straightforward and receiving his tremendous reward. I encourage him every time I see him. Every time I see him. So this is some of the things that we start out with. Now, I talked about authenticity. So I asked the elders, talk to me about authenticity, about being authentic to myself. Tell me about that. And one of the Navajo elders looked at me and says, in Diné, we say, walk in beauty. And I thought about that and I said, okay, walk in beauty. And he said, walking in beauty does not mean dress up your best clothes on, put some makeup on, make yourself beautiful, make yourself handsome, and walk down the road like that's not what it means. Your beauty is within. Then it can come out without. But start from within. Authenticity is not a static trait, but it is a lifetime or lifelong pursuit. To be authentic is to align your actions, words, and intentions with your inner values, what it means to you, and beliefs. If you have a belief that say, like, my belief was that I was just going to be a good, person, service to all, no matter what. And it doesn't matter if people come up to me of my childhood says, I remember you were like this. I remember we used to do this deal with. It doesn't matter. I am now. I have grown up to be authentic to myself. And I have better values in my life that I want to be service to you. Even though what they said to me 20, 30, 40 years ago, it doesn't bother me. I love them all. And I would tell them, I will love you now more than ever. My love for you is different. My love for you means that I am a service to you. If you came up to me now and truly and honestly say, I need your help. I'm be the first one to be there for you. To be authentic, you know, and you know, it is an honest relationship to myself and willingness to acknowledge both my strengths and my vulnerability. I know who I am. I know my strength. I can connect. I can connect to the mother, creator, and I can raise my vibration to a higher dimension to where I am who I am. I am a powerful, infinite being. But then I can be vulnerable with these attacks from the dark when I get up there. But when I get there, I know what to do. I know to call upon my guides, the angels, the space beings, the higher beings. I know to call upon them to come protect me, to come be with me, to come take me and guide me through my vulnerabilities. So being yourself is not stubbornly clinging to every aspect of your personality. It's about embracing change when it emerges from a genuine self reflection. Boy, that is a hard one, ain't it? Yeah. Embracing something. I I have to embrace something that I have learned to accept. And I'm not afraid to share this with you. Being who I am and what I have gone through in life, conquering death 4 times. And on the fourth one, the doctor said, "You're not going to be able to walk. We're going to need this." I call them four wheelers, but they're called walkers. They said, "You're going to have to need this rest of your life." I said, I'm not. I'm not going to depend on that. And my good old Texas mother, bless her heart, she looked at me and she says, "Son, I'll get you something." Gave me a cane. I used that cane for 2 years. Now, through, you know, medical technology and everything, now I am walking at least a mile and a half to 2 miles every other day. And here recently, I don't need a cane. I don't need help. I can walk at least a mile and a half without any help. And that to me is an accomplishment that I'm still going to go for it because my goal is to start jogging again by the end of this month, end of this summer. So, you know, being challenged, stubborn changes, accepting it. Another thing is that I have got to learn that I'm not 50 years old anymore. I'm not 40 years old. I'm not 30 years old. I'm not 20 years old. Back then, work was not a problem. Work to me was not a problem. Now it's hard for me to ask for help, but I've learned to accept it. You know, accept help because I know I can't do it all by myself anymore. So those kinds of changes, I'm being authentic to myself to say, yes, I'm gonna need help. Being service to people most of my life. Now it's time to share the knowledge that I learned from my elders, knowledge that I learned from going to Egypt, Japan with the Buddhists, going up to India with the Buddhists, and going to Africa with other tribes and all that. It's time to share that knowledge. So being authentic to myself had to take a lot of changes. Being authentic asks us to let go of the mask we used to wear to fit into external molds. What does that say? I asked elders, what does that say? And they said, you know, we have to let go of who we were and accept who we are now to fit in with the world. But we're not here to really change anybody. We have to be here, be an example, being authentic to, and ask ourselves to let go of the mask we wear to fit the external molds. Those shaped us by culture, family, and social media. You know, we have to let it go and accept who we are now. It is about moving beyond surface level identities. It is allowing your inner landscape to be seen by everyone, unfiltered and unapologetic. And when I say that, unfiltered and unapologetic, I'm not afraid to tell people now that I'm not like I used to be. I used to be like a goat. You put me up in the mountain, oh, I'd be up in the mountains on top, running around all over the place in there. No, now, I got to take my time. If I'm going to try to climb a mountain, I'm going to study that mountain before I climb it because I got to find an easier way to get up there than because of my abilities now. My abilities are limited. So I have to adapt to that and change. So now, you know, the other thing is the challenges of being yourself. Meaning the challenges of being yourself. Despite its rewards, being yourself is often met with resistance. That is true. When we, and I'm gonna go on. From a young age, many are taught to conform in order to gain acceptance and avoid conflict. The final rejection or the fear of rejection, judgment, and misunderstanding can make self expression daunting. Social media, with its high reels and pressure to change, you know, is there. You know, so what do I say about that? Complication with tasks furthered by constant presenting ideas that feel out of reach. We see a lot of things on social media that is hard to accept because it's unimaginable things. I mean, one of the things that I guess will be on my bucket list is to bungee jump. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to. It's on my bucket list. And by, presenting ideas like that, how is it affecting our authenticity? Some of us really, a lot of people used to talk about claustrophobic to me. I said, how can I be claustrophobic? I've never been claustrophobic. And I go mountain climbing, going into caves. They're so small, big old huge rocks around me and everything. Not even think about it, crawling under those little holes and everything, getting on the other side and going back. Never thought about being claustrophobic, but this time I went camping in a regular RV and I slept in a small bed that had a wall right over me and everything. I got claustrophobic. When I woke up, I couldn't breathe. And I said, what in the world's the matter? I sat up and I looked around. I finally caught my breath. I lay back down, and when I thought about everything, I had to get up and I said, no, I can't sleep here. I had to go to another room where it's more open. I couldn't sleep in a little box like that. I got claustrophobic. I never thought I'd be claustrophobic, but times change. So we have to accept it. Being authentic, you accept changes like that, you know. So, I always look at this, you know, when we start, ourselves, the path of authenticity, it requires courage, the willingness to stand firm in your truth, even though when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. And that's one thing that I am starting to do. I tell people I'm a spiritual person, not a religious person. I I went back home. One of the people asked me, "Are you religious?" And I looked at him, and there were some people around. I said, "No." And you talk about jaws dropping, people being hit like a ton of bricks against the wall because they know who I am. They know, since childhood what I was trained. And when they asked me if I was religious, I said no. It slammed them. And before I could explain, man, it was like social media. Boom. It was like a wildfire. It went all over. Now I'm going back and explaining to them why I am not religious. And boy, do I open minds when I talk about it. This is some of the knowledge that needs to be shared because religion was not in the native culture until the churches came in. Maybe I'll change it, maybe I won't, but I'm not going to lose everything to try to make my point. Either they accept me or they don't. Either I accept them or I don't, but it's going to be mutual. Understanding myself, it was hard of what I can do, what I cannot do. To be yourself, we must first know yourself. Remember, the pure conscious level, I am. That's when they asked me, who are you? Kapin Ho'e, I said, Oh, Kapin Ho'e, meaning I'm the infinite being. I didn't say I'm awakened. I said, I am an infinite being. This self knowledge is cultivated through reflection, curiosity, and honest self inquiry. So, self reflection. You know, I looked at when I was growing up, how other kids treated me. It didn't bother me because I always told myself, I'm just as good as you are. I'm not better than you, but I'm just as good as you are. The childhood life that we all live. We maybe try to be somebody at school, but when we get home, who are we really? Is what I used to ask them students. And I had few friends. Those few friends, I would invite them to my house. They would invite me to their house. We were not ashamed of our houses. We were not ashamed of our family. We were not ashamed of our parents. I accepted their parents, and my friends accepted my parents, and we all helped each other. One day we go to my house to chop wood. Next day we go to their house to chop wood. We all helped each other after school. So your few friends, you know, you have to ask yourself, understand yourself. You have to ask yourself, What brings me joy when I need, when I do feel most alive? What brings me joy when I'm happy, when I'm alive, when I wake up, I feel good? What brings that joy to me? Is it my kids, my grandkids, everything, my partner? Yes, they all bring that joy to me. They all bring it to me every day, every day, you know. And then I ask myself, which values are non-negotiable for me? And the number one thing that I always, when I told my elders, when they asked me, said, which value is non-negotiable for you? And you know what I told them? I looked at them square in the eye and I said, I'm going to tell you all the truth. You know what's non-valuable, non-negotiable for me? Is when I tell them, I love you. Now, people tell people, I love you. That's non-negotiable because love, when it comes from my heart, it is for you. You know, if you accept it, fine. You don't, hey, but I'm still gonna love you. I love my grandkids. I love my kids. I love my partner. I love my family. I love everybody. And if I tell you I love you, yes, it's because of my creator, my mother, sharing that love with me. Where do I compromise myself, please others? Well, time is where I compromise myself in pleasing others. I do a lot of mentorship. And I tell people, everybody that I mentor, 1 hour, 1 hour. However, I compromise myself because sometimes they need me. They need somebody to talk to. They need some encouragement. They're going through a rough time. So I compromise myself and allowing them to get it all out. And when they're done, I say, okay, my prayers are with you. Let's pray together. I'll give you my blessings. So please others, time, but don't worry. It's not hurting me because I love you. And this is part of me sharing my love to service to others. What dreams or desires do I hold back for fear of judgment? Well, nothing. I don't have no fear. I don't have no dreams really. That's holding me back because fear of judgment. I'm not, I'm not, I'm not worried about that because again, I don't, it doesn't bother me if you judge me. That's you about me. It doesn't bother me because again, I love you. So that's the end of it. That's how I'm gonna end it. I don't fear nothing. I don't fear your negativity. I don't. So, we do go into vulnerability about things like that, but only what you allow is what the elders say. And that's all that's where I'm gonna leave it at. Because I'm not gonna judge you be vulnerable to what I'm trying to be by being authentic. You know, the world will often try to define you from advertising to traditions. Countless voices urge you want to be someone else, to do more, to conform to some ever shifting standards. Resisting this pressure requires discernment and strength to say no. Peer pressure. Say no to peer pressure, to paths that do not resonate with your soul. Well, the elders basically used to tell me that you have to be on your true path. Walk in beauty, being true to yourself. Being true to yourself. It's a big, big job description because we don't want to be vulnerable. This is society, to the family, to our social groups, whatever. We just have to be ourselves. They can't mold us of who we are. They can't mold us to their expectations. They can't mold us because they want us to be this way. The joy of acceptance, you know, it's really, you know, all it is, the joy of acceptance to me is just having peace within myself, knowing who I am, knowing that what I can do with others, sharing my knowledge with honesty, with challenges that I get, not let it affect me. Me, that's the joy of acceptance because of my authenticity. People don't look at it like that, but I do. You know, if a person yells at me, yeah, that's okay. Back in my subconscious man is just throwing, I love you anyway. I love you anyway. I love you anyway. Because my energy is not going to change because somebody's yelling at me. So that's my joy of acceptance. Authenticity in relationship with others, I have nothing to be saying with them. You know, because sometimes being authentic to your own self may not be authentic with another person to where you might end up shallowing your relationship with them. But don't close it. Keep it open. It may shallow, but one day it might open up again. And they're gonna say, wow, I see what you meant by this. I see what I see what you meant by doing this. I see what you meant by being who you are. So don't ever close that relationship. Always keep it open. You know, being ourselves, you know, practicing self awareness. Set aside time for reflection. Notice your feelings, your triggers, and your patterns without judgment. Express yourself in creativity, whether it's music, art, writing, whatever talents and gifts you have. You know, express yourself with that. You know, learn a way to say no to commitments and people that drain your energy or conflict with your values. Learn to say no with them. You know, it used to be hard on me, but now doing this for so long, people understand why and where I stand with certain things. And I thank them for their respect. You know, celebrate your uniqueness, embrace what sets you apart, and honor the journey that has shaped you. Remember that walking beauty, being honest with yourself, you know, just being honest with yourself. That's what, it will help you. Another thing is forgive yourself. Release, release perfectionism and recognize that mistakes are part of processing who you are. Learn from your mistakes, is what the elders say. Learn from your mistakes because we only live once. No, choosing to be authentic, choosing to be yourself is an act of service, not just to your own well-being, but to others. When we live authentically, we contribute to the culture of our honesty and acceptance. Authentic people inspire others to shed their masks. You know, which is true. You know, I don't judge people. I don't look at people any different, but how I am, who I am, is who I am, and how I will be. Now, if people get something out of it and people change, that's great. Our authentic lives remind us that authenticity has a power to ignite change, both within and beyond ourselves. So be yourself in both a challenge, a gift. It means honoring your unique journey, embracing vulnerability, and living in alignment with your truest self. In the face of pressure, conform, authenticity is an act of courage. It is a daily choice to show up, speak out, and celebrate the irreplaceable individual that you are. In society hungry for genuine connection, it's the meaning of authenticity that is not only enough, it is essential to take up space in your life. Listen to your quiet wisdom within, and remember the world needs a light that only you can shine. Be that light. And as I keep telling you, as a Navajo elder told me, this is the time we all need to walk in beauty because when we walk in beauty, we are truly true to ourselves, true to our family, to our friends, to the people out there, our community, then to the world, then to others like you, people seeing throughout the world my videos. And I thank you for watching my videos. This is a true authenticity of ourselves. The elders keep talking about. We need to be this way. The world is right now, the energy is so bad out there. Be authentic to yourself. Don't get sucked into the energy. You have to get away from it. Go into the woods, ground yourself, connect yourself, meditate, talk to the Father, talk to Mother Earth, talk to the trees, talk to the birds, talk to whomever. You're not crazy. You're just authentic to yourself. I love you. And I thank you for always watching my videos. And again, I say I love you, and y'all have a wonderful, blessed week.